Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont, and we've got an interesting one today. I saw this headline from this website I've never heard of, xdadevelopers.com, and it's gamers were wrong. Ray tracing makes a difference. I'm not even going to jump into this article yet. I just saw this headline and I knew there was going to be some serious shade getting thrown down here. But it made me think. When was the last time a game really felt like ray tracing made a difference? As far as like enhancing the gameplay, or it was even like noticeable and turning it on didn't, slow down the system or lower the frame rates at all, or have any effect on the gameplay, I should say, other than enhancing it. And I thought about it pretty hard, and it was Doom Eternal is the only time that I think I was like ray tracing on. Usually I turn it off because I don't care. But, I don't remember what gun I think it was a plasma rifle. I was just firing it, and I noticed there was like, a lot of reflection in the area from background shit, so I turned the ray tracing on just to check it out because my friend kept telling me to, and I was like, "Oh, this game's just way better looking, and it doesn't the it just" eh my friend's joke was that it runs at, like 300 frames per second. With everything turned to the max. Like, Doom Eternal was so polished. But that was the only time I can think of a game that mattered for ray tracing for me. It's the only game I actively turn it on. Like, I'm just yes, I want my ray tracing on Doom Eternal, but that's it. And I play Doom Eternal, like, once every 2 or 3 years, I'll run through the game again. Unlike just Doom, the 2016 Doom, which I'll play, like, once a year because it's just that good. Just enjoyable beginning to end. But let's get into this, let's see what, this person has to say. For thank you for getting my way, banner. For several years now, ray tracing has been viewed as an unnecessary graphics feature that's more responsible for tanking your PC's performance rather than performing a better gaming experience. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Oh, I love it when the article, like, reaffirms my rants in a way because it's just what how people felt because it's what happened. It it tropes exist for a reason. Stereotypes exist for a reason. These things exist because they happen so often that yeah, ray tracing was tanking your performance. It did. It actively did. And to a degree, gamers are right about that. Running a game with ray tracing enabled will absolutely come at a higher performance cost, depending on the quality of ray tracing and how prevalent ray tracing lighting is in the game itself. But despite the performance hit, ray tracing is absolutely worth the increased resource demands on your GPU. Sure, your frame eights, your, your frame eights will drop by enabling it, but the benefits of improved lighting make it clear for this time. Gamers were wrong. Uh, I'm not convinced. Your argument hasn't convinced me because, again, Doom Eternal. I can. Well, let's see. How do I put this? Horror games would benefit from ray tracing. Like you using like a candle as a light source and having reflections bounce the light and create shadows and stuff like that, and alternate like moving light capturing. I don't know. Whatever. I can see a benefit for ray tracing in certain aspects. I don't need to see the muzzle flash of my, automatic rifle in 3 different reflective puddles on the ground near me. That is shit I don't care about. I'm tired of this, like, super minute graphical nitpickiness because games aren't as fun as they used to be. When they cared more about making the game fun and then tried to polish the graphics as much as they could afterwards, games just looked better, they felt better, they played better. They didn't need fucking updates constantly or on release every single time. When was the last time a game came out that wasn't like, beep, day one update? And the only acceptable thing I'll get for a day one update on any game that first comes out is if it's released as a single player game on drop and they're like, hey, optional day one update for multiplayer. Or if even if it's mandatory, just we're unlocking multiplayer and you go, okay, I don't know. No, no, it's not acceptable actually. I take it back. It's not. Your game should be fucking complete. You used to be able to walk into a store, buy a game, go home and play it. No problem. You put it in your system and it played. I remember the first time a console had to download a game to play it. And the jokes were just you could you could play this game on this console or you could play this on this console. And to play them, you download one, and the other one, you just put it in and play it. It's like, oh, I gotta go make a sandwich, do some laundry, come back, my game's ready. Your friend's fucking 2 hours into his game. That was a wild tangent. I apologize, but let's see. It's just yeah, I'm not convinced. But what is ray tracing and why does it matter? A brief history of the ray tracing platform. For posterity's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and read this, but I'm pretty sure most people know what ray tracing is, and if you don't, well, here you go. I guess this is a screenshot. See, now this one, you're looking at two different things, right? Look at this. You're not looking at the same thing exactly. I don't even know if these are from the same edition or version now because the like oh, this is a misleading or unhelpful photo, I should say. It's not necessarily misleading. Ray tracing first entered the mainstream game development space in 2018 when NVIDIA debuted the RTX 20 series graphics card. The defining feature of these new GPUs was their support for ray traced lighting, which offered more realistic lighting in 3D environments. Ray tracing effectively simulates how light would behave within a 3D environment by tracing paths that light rays would take as they bounce around a particular scene. Rays are sent from the camera and evaluated to determine which surfaces they hit and how those surfaces should be lit based on nearby light sources. If an object blocks the path between a surface and a light source, a shadow is cast. This approach is far more accurate than traditional rasterization techniques, which project 3D objects onto a 2D screen by filling in pixels, while rasterizing lighting and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think I've only ever written it, read and written it. Whatever. Lighting is faster for a GPU to process and isn't nearly as realistic as ray trace lighting effects, particularly when dealing with reflections and shadows. Enabling ray tracing in a game is most obvious when looking at reflections and shadows of the scattering of light throughout the fog and what we call volumetric fog. This offers better, more realistic graphics and increased immersion and offers potential for new gameplay mechanics using ray traced reflectors that can allow you to see details that would otherwise be occluded with the standard line of sight. Hitman 3 almost mastered the last bit, though it came at a high cost. I don't understand. Never really, I've only played two Hitman games and maybe I may have played the same one on different consoles, I don't know. I never got into Hitman. It felt kinda boring to me, like, too slow paced. It's like, Siphon Filter. I played a little bit of Siphon Filter, just never really got into it. Back to the article. It can also just make your game more playable by providing a better lighting system that makes it easier to see what's actually happening on screen. One of the clearest examples of ray traced graphics providing a more usable visual experience is Doom: The Dark Ages. Not only does Doom look better with ray tracing enabled, but certain levels are also nearly unplayable without ray tracing. For me and many others, Dragon's Dogma 2 is also vastly improved with ray tracing with ray trace features enabled. See, when you say like me and many others with a vague statement like that, I have to question whether or not that statement has any validity at all. I find it fascinating that Doom was listed in a ray trace thing when I honestly think Doom Eternal is the only game I care about on ray tracing. Maybe Doom the Dark Ages, don't know, haven't played it. Uh when they showed me Doom the Dark Ages, I just wanted all like Dark Ages weapons. Like flail mace, ball and chain, lance, sword. I would accept a crossbow or like I don't want a regular bow. I would accept one. I'm just tired of games having bows because it's just what they put in everything. There's a bow in every game. It's a yes, it's a super efficient murder weapon for all of time. It will always be. They're easy to make and they're highly effective. But Doom the Dark Ages might be worth ray tracing. That's what this was up here, I assume. But yeah, when they were like, "Oh yeah, there's a shotgun and all the shield bash," I like that. Give me a sword, give me the shield. Let's go. Actually, I would rather have a shield and a flail, but that's just me. Because then you could block with the shield and then still hit people with your flail. Uh, it's a beautiful tactic. But ray tracing does come with a serious performance hit. Gamers weren't wrong about that. Uh, this Alien. What is this? Oh, it's Omen. Because ray tracing uses more realistic model for in-game lighting, it can tax your GPU much more than running the same game without ray trace lighting enabled. Turning on ray trace tends to drop your GPU performance by 30 to 50% depending on the game and which parts of the ray trace stacked are enabled. As well as ray tracing shadows and reflections, there's also full ray tracing, global illumination, and path tracing, both of which can really tax your system. Things have gotten a bit better with the GPUs that can offset your ray trace overheated with AI powered super sampling and frame generation features, but for older GPUs, ray tracing often tanks your rates through the floor. This is particularly obvious when playing around with the settings in the Cyberpunk 2077 or Black Myth Wukong, but many of the latest game titles are so very taxing on gaming rigs because of advanced ray tracing features to improve the graphics. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Alan Wake 2, and Metro Exodus Enhanced Editions are all notorious taxing games that leverage quite a bit of ray tracing to provide better, more realistic graphics. Because of the large overhead needed to utilize ray traced lighting, most gamers opt to shut down specific ray traced features and path tracing in games to speed up frame rates and provide a smoother gaming experience to lack of which can provide significant gains to performance. Yeah, it's true. Whatever's going on, you should all get on that 300 frames per second Doom Eternal software, whatever they're running. The ray tracing hate misses the point. Gaming doesn't have to be about your frames per second meter. What are we doing in the gaming? Am I playing a horror game? I suppose the frames don't matter. Am I playing a retro game? Then yet, well, what kind of retro game? Do I have a CRT conversion rate that's appropriate for my monitor? Because then, either way, if I don't have a proper conversion, the frames are irrelevant with retro games if they're true retro ports. If it's a modern retro game, frames are irrelevant or modern retro style game, I say, a pixel game. If it's a pixel game, frames are almost irrelevant to that level. If it's a shooter game, you're probably wrong. Like frames are king. If it's a FromSoft game, frames don't matter as much in FromSoft. They just make the game look so much better. It's you're running around with your armor that's and yeah, it just high frame rates I how could you say they don't matter? It's not about them? Yeah. It really depends on what you're playing. If you're playing anything first person, it probably matters just for the smoothness of the gameplay to not, reduce any motion sickness for people that do play in first person, because I know that's an issue for some people. But yeah, I guess in third person, it doesn't really matter because you're not gonna no video game is gonna look like a person in movement, or if you're playing, a sparrow or a turtle or a bee or whatever games you can play as things now. Ultimately, ray tracing makes your games look better. You can see more because you've got. Wait, didn't I already read that? You can see more because you got better lighting. You get better immersion quality with better quality visuals. Plus, if you need a reason to embrace frame generation using AI to generate additional frames to smooth out performance, you can get the benefits of ray tracing with fewer downsides. A lot of people aren't going to like the AI use. A lot of people are. A lot of people are going to be like me and not fucking care at all. But even if you refuse frame gen and take the raw performance hit, ray tracing can be worth enabling on hardware that can handle it. It I'm gonna stop just for a moment. Yeah, anything's worth it if your rig can handle it. Hey, if your rig can handle it, you should do it. Best advice ever, right there. Right there. Best advice ever. If your rig can handle it, you should do it. Uh, I stopped in the middle of a sentence, didn't I? Especially in visually driven games. Oh, no way. Games that are visually driven should have maximum visuals too. More good advice. Not only does it provide better lighting, more realistic shadows, and stunning reflections, and more immersive, and not only does it do everything I already said it does. In fact, these days, even integrated GPUs have ray trace support, though performance isn't quite there, and some games have managed to implement ray tracing in a way that doesn't come at as much of a frame rate cost. Dragon's Dogma 2 looks much better with the ray tracing enabled, and it doesn't tank performance as much as other heavy ray trace titles. Other games like Cyberpunk 2077, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Control are still too heavily ray traced to play smoothly on all GPUs without frame generating or super resolution assistance, but they just look so much better with ray tracing enabled. And ultimately, PC gaming isn't just about how fast your PC can display frames or how stable your overclock is, it's about how enjoying games. So go ahead. Ooh, excuse me. So go ahead and turn those ray trace volumetric lighting effects back on. Uh, uh, maybe, yeah, I don't know. I doubt it. This article doesn't feel very convincing. You didn't really sell me on it with your, I think this kind of things or I think that kind of things. Until ray tracing just stops affecting frames and performance, people are going to keep turning it off. That's just it. It's and like I said, there's people like me who don't care about the super hyper realism. And you're like, "Oh, games are meant to be fun, so just turn your ray tracing on." Well, I think games are meant to be fun, so I'm fucking turning it off. I don't care how realistic the lighting is. Uh, take the performance hit? No, I'd rather take the graphic hit. I will take a graphics hit over a performance hit any day. Any day, lady or dude or whoever you Madeline, right? Madeline Ricciuto, maybe. Ricciuto, if it's Italian. I'm being presumptuous. I should stop. But my point is, most people that I know that game would rather take a graphic hits than a performance hit anytime. If I was like, these are your options, you're gonna plug in, you're gonna start playing in this game. Do you want the graphic hit? Do you want to prioritize graphics or do you want to prioritize performance? I prioritize performance every time. I will choose a blend of two if it's there and see how the game runs. And if I don't think the performance is where I want it, I'm gonna fucking switch to performance mode every time. That's me. That's my circle of friends at game. I don't know anyone that chooses the graphics, with the exception of like, oh, I'm playing a horror game. I want the graphics. I want the ambience. I want the visceral nature of the world in the game. But yeah, I don't know. Ray tracing doesn't really impress me. The only time it did was in Doom Eternal, and I'll just leave it on for that. Like maybe if I ever get around to playing the Dark Ages, uh I'll probably play it with ray tracing on because I liked it in Doom Eternal. And if the original Doom had ray tracing, I would probably turn it on for that. But it doesn't. So whatever. Who cares? It's not the best thing. It's not the end all be all, and it doesn't really affect the game into a way that I feel that it's necessary. If a game can run it and it can, and it doesn't have any effect on it, cool, let it go. But whatever, whatever about that. I don't know. Ray tracing never impressed me. I just want games to be fun, and I want them to be well written, and I want them to be finished when they come out. But that's all I have for this article. What do you think about ray tracing? What's your opinions on it? Write it down below. But that's all I have for this article. This is Joe Spellmont signing out.